First, I started the critique by looking at the general layout of the website. And most visitors, when they come to the website, they would first scroll through your page in order to see what the site is all about. And we are now looking at first impressions, therefore. Okay, now in coming to the website looks clean. There are not a lot of links going to different places that would serve as a distraction. And if I just scroll through here, and the choice of text is a good one. Sans serif font. Okay, and it looks easy on the eye. There are not a lot of different types of fonts that are being used. The Johnson boxes or the testimonial boxes stand out from the rest of the letters, so it indicates that there are testimonials which are good. Okay, and your choice of graphics also illustrates what you are saying, and I'll comment on that a little bit further as I go through the letter step by step. And my only concern here, though, is with the background. Okay, you want as much as possible to develop some contrast, a lot of contrast between your background and the letter itself. Of course, this is white, but this is gray, and this is a very light gray, and gray doesn't stand out very much against white. Here you have as choice for the color of the headline as well too. It's a kind of a light, faintish maroon color, which kind of competes with the gray background. In other words, then when you're reading this color, the gray kind of takes away from the punch of the color, and you want your headline to have that kind of a punch. Okay, and red does it very well in terms of a headline, and also navy blue also does very well. So for the background, I would suggest a very deep navy blue, or some kind of a darker color, maybe black. Okay, but you want some kind of a background color that would help the letter, the white of the letter, to stand out. And gray is a little bit too close to white for that deep kind of a deep contrast. Okay, now let me just comment as well on the headline. Now the headline is indented, which is very good here, but I've already commented on the choice of color. Okay, I would choose either red or a deep navy blue. Okay, to stand out, and I would also use just a tit larger font as well too for the headline. Okay, so in terms of first appeal, it looks easy to read. It's a good choice of font. You have good formatting and good spacing in terms of your the length of your paragraphs and so forth. So it is an easy read on the eye. Okay, here what serves as your header is not too large, and it fits in right with the letter, so it doesn't really compete with your headline in any way. Okay, so that is as much I would say about the format at this point, and I would maybe comment on some other elements of the format as we go through the other stages of the critique. Okay, so let's take it from the top, and let's now look at the words that I'm actually going to be doing the selling this time. Okay, now here we start by saying, attention serious cowboy action and fast draw shooters, Old West reenactors, fans of the Real West. Okay, now this is pointing out who your target audience is. Except here I would make attention, get some more attention. So I would either place this in red, or place this in capital letters and maybe put a colon here, or maybe indicate here that you're actually crying out for attention, and use an exclamation mark. Okay, but you want attention maybe in all caps, or somewhere in which the word attention would actually stand out from the rest of the text. Okay, that would actually bring some more attention to this prehead. Okay, So that's in terms of format. So it says here, attention, serious cowboy action, faster shooters, always reenactors, fans for the Old Way West. And so you're calling out who this letter is actually for. Okay, you're selecting your audience. Okay, good. Okay, recently discovered 303-page memoir by genuine Old West gunfighter, long out of print, lost, forgotten, reveals the intriguing and at times disturbing, eye-opening true story of a real. Let me scroll down here. Okay, of a true story of what really went on in the raw Wild West. Okay, now I'll comment a little bit more on this headline, because the headline is going to fit in with something I'm going to suggest later as I go through the other elements of the letter. But I like to go with Ted Nicholas' formula of keeping the headline as much as possible close to 17 words. Now, depends on who you talk to. Different copywriters would have different ideas. But I think that the more succinct and shorter your headline is, the more punch it really has, if it's going to really stand out as a headline. And sometimes, even if you want to have a longer running idea in the headline, you can make part of that headline the sub-headline and still allow something to stand out for the headline that is about, around 17 words. Okay. Now, I'm going to comment a little bit later on the headline and make some suggestions in terms of how you can strengthen, this headline. And this is going to depend a lot on a different approach that I think that you can take with this letter. Okay, so I'll leave the headline for now, and later on make a suggestion in terms of what changes could be made here. Which would fit in with a different kind of a structure for the letter that I would suggest as we go along. Okay, so we'll go on as is. This is the real-life, first-hand factual account of the man-on-man first-draw shootouts, hard-riding outlaw chases, and lead-dodging narrow escapes told by the Old West's most unfamous lawman. Okay, you start. I notice here that there is no address here, no salutation like, dear friend or so forth. Not a big faux pas, but it's if you use a salutation, it kind of make the appeal more personal in terms of this is a letter that's actually been written to someone, rather than just an article, okay? And it would also fit in with what you do later on, in the sense that you close the letter by signing your name and giving your signature, so it appears as a letter. So I would go with the salutation in this case. Okay, start out. Who was he? Good, short line, question mark, build curiosity. His name was Frank Eaton, and he was known simply as Pistol Pete. But don't be surprised if you have never heard of him, because you won't find his name in any of today's Western history encyclopedias or glorified legend or song. But he was one of the most feared men of his time to ever buckle on a gun rig. Okay, and I'll comment a little bit more about this start. Not a bad start, but I think that there's an optional start and angle that you can use that would even strengthen the opening even more. So not a bad opening, but I still think that the opening could be strengthened, and I'll tell you why as we go along. Okay. Pistol Pete got his nickname when he was just 15 years old. Okay, you start by going on with the story about how he started and how he gained the kind of reputation that that he gained, and good telling a story. This is a good way to start. Okay, you're using a story, and then Pistol Pete West really gets wild. The boy who packed the truest and the fastest guns in Indian territory. Okay, by the time he was 16, he'd mastered thumb, two-gun, high-hip, cross-draw so lightning fast that he gunned down a local bad hombre, despite the troublemaker already having his Westchester. Okay, now here you're actually starting by telling this story, and you're starting as though it's a biography. So in other words, then you're giving the story chronologically, and and therefore I find then that in kind of telling the story and revealing who the person really is, you kind of taking away the curiosity from it, okay? And the the angle I'm suggesting here then in starting out the letter is that um, you have made this find, you have made a discovery, and rather than the story about the person, okay, rather than the story about Pistol Pete being the real pull of the letter, I think that the real pull of the letter here would be actually how you found this rare book, this rare autobiography of this once famous person, and then rather than telling the person's story, you actually use the letter then to build curiosity about what they'll actually find out when they read the story. Okay, so you do have to build some credibility, yes, for this person, but you do not want to build credibility for them by actually telling their story. Otherwise, if you tell me the story, then there's less for me to actually want to read in this book. Okay, there's less for me to actually want to buy the book so that I could learn more about them, about about Pistol Pete. Okay, so what I find here then is that the best angle that you can use for the letter and also for the opening of the letter is your chance encounter of how you discovered this rare book, and it has this unique story about this famous person, and they can discover, they can discover A, they can discover B, they can discover C, they can discover all these wonderful things that were hidden, until now. Okay, so therefore the real appeal then of the sales letter doesn't become the story about Pistol Pete itself, but the real appeal of the letter actually becomes the story of your find. Okay, and of your find. So you go by telling the story here. By the time he was 16, and what he did, and from that day forward, what his reputation was like, and so forth. Okay, no, I do not have a copy of the book itself, which would have been helpful here, but I'm assuming that the book the book tells the story. If it doesn't, then giving some kind of a background, a short background about this person and why they're so famous and why they are noteworthy and why the customer would want to learn more about this individual. Would be important, but you do not want to tell too much of the story so that the person is left with nothing new to learn. Okay, in other words, then you as many copywriters say, you want to sell the sizzle and not the steak. Okay, so from that day forward, Pistol Pete's reputation as a boy who packed the trace and fast gun terror was born, and his future was gone 5 years later. He would go on to carve 11 notches on the grips of his thing. At age 17, he's got his commission as Deputy U.S. Okay, so you're building credibility for the person and why person might want to read about that person. Okay, you can't tell the story here. Giving some pictures. Okay, for Smith, Pistol Pete always lived the cowboy code of never going back on his word. Backing down a fight. Okay, in 1861 he died. When he died, he often said best life insurers were throwing a lot of lead fast and straight. Just let this sink in for a minute what extraordinary man this was. A dead shot at 15. Okay, this is the kind of a synopsis that I would give rather than telling rather than giving the whole story. This is the kind of synopsis that I would suggest. Okay, you kind of give the highlight of the person's life rather than giving the whole full detail, because what you're doing is that in giving the highlight of the person's life, you are actually providing a teaser. Okay, you're providing a teaser for the person who is actually going to buy the book, and therefore get the full story. Of course, you're not giving the full story that's contained in the book. Okay, but the more compact you make it, and by pulling out the high points, you are you are providing the traffic to the movie. Okay, and so you're putting out those high points, and the person can only fill in the missing information by getting the book. Okay. So, for example, instead of saying that he was a dead shot at 15, you say you'll discover how early he was able to be a dead shot. Okay. Instead of saying puts the first 11 notches on his gun at 16, you put it in form of a question instead, or instead of, in other words, then instead of revealing what the person did, you build a question of curiosity in the person's mind, where the book would give them the answer. Okay, and so you'll find out the young age at which he was able to place his first 11 notches. Okay, so rather than saying puts the first 11 notches and it's gone in 16, you discover the age. Okay, so instead of giving this, this is something that they would discover when they find out. Here again, instead of saying when he got a deputy, gets his U.S. deputy marshal, then after you place this in terms of a curiosity builder to say that this person would find out. Okay, live until he was 97. Gunfighters were shot, hung, others met their demise in their 20s and 30s, and that's damn amazing to me. Do you know of anyone else in the West who life and so forth? Okay, good. Here, Pistol Piece, one-of-a-kind life story and personal photos, an important part of always history that should be saved and remembered. Okay, good. Sadly, his memoir has fallen through the cracks of history and is real danger of vanishing unmarked. Okay, here again, and we're going to see this transition soon. Here again, when you tell me the story about Pete, and you actually started from, childhood, and actually, give me a quick resume of his life, and then you end this story, and then you transition now into how you found, and now you transition now into how you found this information. Then there's an anticlimax. Okay, there's an anticlimax here. Okay, let's move on to how you transition. Okay, then you introduce yourself as the person who is providing this information, and I like how you use you try to use the Western era kind of a language, cowboy kind of a language. Okay, which will be very comfortable to your audience. So howdy, very good. My name is Jamie Humler. I'm a city slicker and so forth, but I'm a cowboy at heart, and you love. Okay, you're building empathy with your readers, and here you go on to describe how everything changed for you when you stumbled into this wonderful find and discovery and so forth. This is, I think, is where the letter actually starts. Okay, this is where the letter actually starts, and because in telling me about this find, in telling me about the find, there's less of a curiosity for me to find, for me to read here, because you already told me about Pete already. Okay, I already know about Frank and Pistol Pete, and therefore in going back now and telling me how you found this information and so forth is a kind of a anticlimax. Like I've seen inside already. You've already told me what's on the inside, and therefore telling me how you found the book is less of an intrigue. Whereas if you started by telling me how you found the book, and then move on to tease me in terms of what's contained in this book, then it's more of a climax. It's more of you building tension in the reader, that tension that can only be resolved when that person actually buys the book and is able to read the information for themselves. So I would say that this should be done in the reverse, that you should actually start by talking about the find of the book, even though you may just mention something in brief in terms of this famous person, that the famous person that Pistol Pete was, but then you should start by talking about how you found the book, and then you move on to tell me what's actually contained in the book itself. Okay, and well, all changed when I stumbled across Frank Pease, long forgotten member stashed in an old trunk, hidden away for years in an abandoned barn. Okay, very good. Showing a picture of the trunk builds credibility. I'll never forget that day, because it could have been my last. I spent a weekend at a real world cattle outfit, 26 miles of. Okay, living in a dream of mine, real cowboy. Okay, building empathy, telling your story, your love for this genre of books and information. There was an old barn bunkhouse on the property that had been there since the 1900s, but had been abandoned. Okay, good. It was going to be down, so I wanted. It's going to be torn down, so I want to see the old place before it was demolished. And the cowboy flower was called the Cow Hunters. And just like the old Florida Cow Hunters, Skeeter worked cattle used a special whip, 10 foot instead of being longer than Indian Jones. Okay. We let our horses leisurely lope along, causing it a high noon in the blast of Florida sun. The band was made from cypress wood, which was a popular building material of Florida. Okay, now here in telling this story, here I find in telling your story, you're giving information that doesn't really add. It doesn't really add to the mystery and the intrigue of this find. And in talking about the whip, and also giving a picture of the whip, I don't think this really adds to the intrigue of the story. And talking about the ranch, and also the kind of of wood that the barn was made from, and so forth. I don't think this really adds to the intrigue of the story. And maybe you can convince me in that respect, but I do not see how the kind of wood and the barn and so forth that the barn was made of really fit into the intrigue of the story. Maybe the kind of wood it's made from would add to the age of the barn, or the kind of wood that it's made from would indicate maybe the era the barn came from, or does it indicate how well the book has been preserved. But I just do not see the connection here, and therefore, the more time you take talking about the barn and how the wood is made and so forth, it takes away from the real pull of the story in terms of the value of the find. Okay. While I stood looking at the barn, calculating in my head that the wood was worth a small fortune, Skeeter had climbed down from the horse and was heading at the barn and whip on his shoulder. Even the opening of the barn was surprised and dark and cool. Ah, what a relief! The back half of the barn was the bunkhouse with a storage room at the end, walking in the wooden. The storeroom door was off to its hinges, one corner of the roof. And here, all this story that I've been told here is not really doesn't answer to the so what question. Okay, and that's one question that a copywriter has to ask all the way through the letter. Okay, so what? Okay, and this happened, like, so what? I mean, in other words, then, is it worth mentioning? How does this really fit in? What function does it serve? What value does this bring to the reader? Okay, all this information. I do not find that this information actually lives up to the so what. While I stood looking at the barn, calculating the head of the turn of the wood. The back half of the barn was a bunkhouse, a storage room. All this detail about the barn, what does it do? It doesn't really lend to the story. It doesn't really add much to the story, I find. And but Skeeter and so forth, because what we're interested in is the find. We're interested in the trunk. Even if you take some time talking about the trunk, even if you take some time talking about the condition in which you found the book or so forth, but this here, this I find serve as a distraction rather than helping your case. Okay, in terms of what you're selling. Okay, before I could think, as well as here as well, showing a picture of this snake as well too, doesn't really help. I don't find that this really help your story either. Okay, I stood speechless in my eyes, seeing a dinner place, but this wasn't the most amazing thing that happened that day. Finding a pistol piece memory inside the old trunk was, and I thought, okay, when, okay, so I think that rather than actually cutting here, I would actually reduce this part of the story, because here is what this is what you want to highlight. Okay, this is where the real meat of the story is. Okay, this is where the surprise is. This is where the adrenaline starts flowing, and so you don't want to take too much time talking about details that would actually detract from this part of the letter, because it is the find, okay, that is really the highlight of the story. And pistol piece memoir brings the real world. Pistol piece memoir brings the real old West to life. After I got back to the ranch house, I dusted off, picked up a memoir and started to read. I was spellbound, totally absorbed. Something reading Pistol Pete's words gave me such a living, breathing experience settling up. And okay, very good. Okay, and one tenet or one rule of thumb that you always want to keep in mind when you're writing a story, and it's the old tried and true rule of always making sure that you're showing rather than telling. Okay, so in other words, rather than saying that you were excited, show that you were excited. And for example, you did hear my heart was pumping like crazy. Okay, this is showing your living and breathing experience and so forth. You're showing. Okay, you want to keep in mind always that you want to show rather than tell, rather than say that I was excited. Paint a picture of someone who is excited, and I think you did a good job here in doing that. Okay, but keep that in mind as well with the other parts of the letter as well too. Always a man of straight talk. Here's what he said the very first page of a memoir. Okay, imagine he wrote just the way he told her all true. Okay, take a look at some of the priceless nuggets only found in Pistol Pete's. Okay, so you're giving a taste of what's found in the book itself. The riveting account of his relentless tracking down and settling revenge on each of the 6 men he witnessed murder his father in cold blood. He said, "What are you going to do here, and what do you do?" I just want to say, okay, give a thing. Highlight from the book. The method he used to instantly size up a dangerous opponent and the location to gain every advantage before getting into a deadly shootout. Okay. He's against all odds survival of shotgun rifle battle and then came charging like a bunch of mad bulls at him, shot my horse with the eyes and was coming to me. Fell out time to die and so forth. His memoir. Okay, what I would suggest for this section of the letter is you pulled out some section of the letter to give as a highlight, but what I would suggest as well too is that you actually provide more bullet points. Okay, and this method I'm going to share with you now is a very effective way, especially when you're selling a book. Okay, you have pulled out some section here, and I mean, not a bad idea. You're giving the person a taste, a preview of what's actually contained in the book. But what could even be more effective, along with giving this section as well too, is to indicate the amount of value that they're going to get a book. Is that you pull out some section of the book and you give a bullet point, okay, and make the bullet point benefit rich. In other words, telling the person what they're going to learn, what they're going to uncover, what they're going to discover, and you want to use these bullet points as well to build curiosity, to build as much curiosity as possible as well too. So what you'll do is that you say you'll be shocked to find out the situation that Pistol Pete was in, and he was able to recover. A very poor example, but you get the effect what I mean. And here you'll put you'll indicate where it is, page 6. The reason why Pete was able to live to be 97 years old, the real reason why, and then you indicate what the page is, page 7. And then you go on to say how Pete was able to instantly size up a dangerous situation and with an opponent and gain the advantage. And you say, this here for the thing, and then you indicate page, whatever it is, page 17 or whatever. Okay. Now, what this does is that when you have these number of bullet points, and you're just pulling out these different, curiosity and teaser statements, teaser bullet points from the book. What this does is that the person who is reading the letter kind of evaluate the number of bullet points with the meat of the book. So in other words, then the more bullet points you have, each bullet point would be taken as being, value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4. So in other words, then the greater volume of bullet points that you have, the more value the person have kind of sense that they are actually going to get from the book. Okay. And what happens as well too is that you'll be surprised to know as well that a customer who might be on the fence, by just reading one bullet point, that one bullet point might be the bullet point that pulled them over the sales line. Okay, so as they go through, they say, "Wow, I would like to know this one thing," and just that the one thing, would pull them over into buying the book. Okay, so I would suggest here that you go through the book, look at some highlight, you create a bullet point out of those highlight, and you also indicate where in the book, what the page number on the book where they can find that information. Okay, that would build more value for the book. Okay, Pistol P's memoir is not the Hollywood TV mythical version of old thing. Okay, good to indicate what it's not. West, a guy wearing a mask firing a silver bullet shoots a gun out of the bad guy's hand. On the singing cowboy with a white hat rescues a schoolman. No, sir. Instead, this is a real Old West gunfighting. Telling his true life, gunfighter rather, telling his true life story in his own words that totally immerses you in what it was like to live and die in the real raw Old West. Here's a description of Peter Pills by the former managing editor of Pistol Pete's hometown newspaper, and End News and Eagle. I remember. Okay, I would justify this. Rather make it in center, left and right, and I would suggest also that you maybe place this in a Johnson box, or let it stand out some more. Okay, let it stand out some more, because this is what's going to actually help build credibility for your product. So I would recommend that you place this in a Johnson box, similar to what you did for the testimonial, so you can stand out a little bit more here and justify it. As it reads now, it appears as though it's a subhead rather than a passage. Rather than a passage. Okay, I remember Ends Eagle. I remember as a child seeing him at the annual Cherry Creek celebration downstairs in the long hair, hidden gun. Okay. Okay, he didn't wear the gun and holster like some, and it looked as though Pistol Pete was genuine. And what I'll do as well too is that I would recommend that you also highlight certain area. I recommend also that you highlight certain areas of this passage in order to help it to stand out. Okay, to stand out some more. Okay, picture of Pete, Pistol Pete hunting or celebration. Okay, here are more nitty-gritty details from Pistol Pete's fascinating one-of-a-kind life as a top-hand horseback cowboy and the cattle drivers. Real Kansas fearless Indian fighter, tough dog in the real Old West. Okay, way to tie a horse so it won't get hit by a stray bullet in case there's a gunfight. Okay, here's some more bullet points, as I was suggesting before, and I guess maybe these could be added in with the other bullet points. Okay, now let's see how we can strengthen these bullet points. Okay, way to tie a horse so it won't get hit by a stray bullet in case there's a gunfight. Okay, here is the basically like the feature. Okay, and what's the benefit to this knowledge to them? Why do I need where to tie a horse so it won't get hit by a stray bullet? Okay, then you want to go on to say how the reader is going to benefit from this information. So where to tie a horse so it won't get hit by a stray bullet in case there's a gunfight. You can build curiosity. You can go on to say what is the real value of this information. So you say you can say, for example, here what it is not, and so you can say something like, and it's not where you think, or you can build some more curiosity by saying you'll be surprised at the simple answer, or something like that. Okay, All I'm saying here is that you want to flesh out these bullet points some more. Okay, when driving cattle, the best time of day to cross water. And you can, again, similar here, you can say, and for example, if it is not in the evening, you can say, and it's not in the evening. So in other words, then you try to choose something, you try to choose an answer that most people would think of. I say, well, this is the answer. Okay, and instead of saying, well, this is the answer, then afterwards people realize, no, that's not the answer. Okay, so if it's a common myth that people have about this particular idea, then you want to kind of get rid of that myth right away. So the person say, wow, if it's not in the morning, then when is it? Okay, in other words, again, you're using the bullet point again to build curiosity. Okay, how to turn a stampeding herd while having how to turn a stampeding herd while having scared out of you. Again, you want to flesh out this bullet point a little bit more. Again, to say, how would this benefit me? Why do I need to do this? The cowboys called for help, and the term that one said meant instantly. Okay, this can stand on its own. This show character. How to find signs of Indians, so that what? Why do I need to find signs of Indians? What never to do around the campfire at night in hostile territory. Okay, good. This is a good bullet point. Hostile territory. And again, I would flesh this out by maybe saying what it is not, and that might get rid of a particular myth. Finding an outlaw's trail at night. I guess this is how to find an outlaw's trail at night. And again, you might say something about the answer. The answer might surprise me. Tell me I may have never thought about this before, or something to that effect. Okay, just strengthen that. This suggestion I'm giving is just to help you strengthen these bullet points. Okay, how a cross around his neck given to him by his first love, Jenny, saved his life during a gunfight, but returning home finding she was dead, he buried it. Okay, now here in this bullet point you are giving away too much, and as a standard, okay, this is no hard and fast rule, but it's nice to keep your bullet points kind of symmetrical, and this one kind of stands out from the rest because it's much longer than the others. Not a big rule, but you want as much as possible to have your bullet points, kind of a look symmetrical. And but here again, for this bullet point, you are giving away all the information. You want to tease the reader instead of giving all this information. Okay, because you have given me enough information to tell, so that I can work this out for myself. So you say, how a cross around his neck given to him by his first love, Jenny, saved his life during a gunfight. Well, I would right away, I assume that the cross that was given to him, the bullet hit the cross instead of him. But returning home and finding she was the one that died, he buried the cross at the head of the grave. Rather than telling me what he did, leave me in some suspense here. So instead of saying that, let me see what I can say here. Okay, so an example here, instead of saying how a cross around his neck given to him by his first love, Jenny, saved his life during a gunfight, but returning home finding she was the one that died, he buried the cross at the head of the grave. Okay, rather than referring to the cross here, I would say, for example, how a gift from his first love, Jenny, saved his life, but couldn't save hers, and what he did with the gift at her funeral. Okay, so right away you see how I'm building curiosity, because it's a gift from his girlfriend Jenny. I don't know what a gift is, and it saved his life. How could a gift from someone save his life, but it couldn't save her life? Okay, and what he did with it at the funeral. Okay, so here I'm presenting an idea to see how, rather than saying and giving all the information, okay, rather than giving all the information, that you're trying as much as possible to build curiosity. So rather than saying that it was a cross, just say it's a gift. I wonder what kind of gift was it? Was it a horse? Was it a gun? Was it a shield? Was it a holster? What is this gift? Okay, I have to buy the book in order to find out. how it was able to save his life, rather than saying that it was during a gunfight. That's kind of giving too much information. Then I need to know how it's was he drowning? How was his life saved? Okay, so you're building question. Okay, you're building question in the person's mind over and over again. Okay, you're building that question in their mind, and therefore you in building question, you're building curiosity. Then you're building tension that only could be resolved when that person ordered the book. So I have to order the book in order to find out. Okay. Okay, like an atom bomb going off in my skull, I realize other Old West junkies like me would want to saddle up and ride with Pistol Pete and soak in what the real Old West was truly all about. Too. So I've spent a bunch of hours refurbishing bunch of official in the tattered water stained old books. Okay, now you're transitioning into the sale. Okay, where you're trying to build value for what you're about to sell. Okay, and here, instead of saying a bunch of hours, I would actually indicate how many hours, even if you have to say over. I spent over 70 hours, because in doing this you're building value. Okay, you're building value for the book already. Okay, in other words, you're already telling the person, this is what I had to do in order to get this book into your hands. Okay, I had to do A, I had to do B, I spent this amount of effort, this amount of time, to get this book in your hands. So you want as much as possible here to build value by indicating, the time you spent, the care you put into actually refurbishing, this book. Okay, and this. I'm not sure about this graphic here. I do not know if this is a copy of the outside of the book as the person is going to actually get it. Is this a picture of the book as it was found? I'm not sure about the graphics here. Okay, but if it's the way in which the book is going to be sent to the person, I don't know. Maybe you can use a different type of a graphic for the book, or if this is how the book was found, then you should kind of indicate what it is. Okay, so what I would do is that even get a graphics that would show some kind of ragged edges or so forth, if this is actually how the book was actually found. Okay, that is what I would suggest here. But if it is the way in which the book is going to be delivered, I would suggest you get a different graphic done. Oh, it is the refurbished. Oops. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, so that is the refurbished memoir. So what I'll do is that I'll suggest that you get a better picture, maybe with a nice color background, because as it stands here, it looks bland, like a kind of photocopied manual. Okay, you want to build as much value into the book itself. Okay. Okay, saddle up and ride with Pistol Pete. Okay. Lasso your own personal copy of Pistol Pete 300-page memoir by clicking the order button below. It's just $27.77, and ordering right now gets you the priority mail. Okay. Now here, this is a kind of a hard bump into actually telling me what the price is right away. Even though $27 is not a ton of money, but still you want to build as much value as possible before you present the price. So what I would do here is that before you actually present the price, you indicate the amount of time and hour and so forth and effort it took for you to quote unquote refurbish this memoir. Indicate the amount of money that people are willing to spend for this kind of for this kind of a product, and summarize a little about the story of how this was an unusual find, and the amount of money that someone would normally pay for something of this nature. And then after you have done that, now indicate to them, but don't worry, you wouldn't have to pay anything close to that, because you only have to pay this amount of money. You only have to pay $27.77 for this product. So all I'm suggesting here is that before you present the price, you want as much as possible to build value, okay, by summarizing the real value of this book, how famous this person was, and tell them, what is going to happen to them when they get the book, the changes it's going to make. They're going to be one of the few people to have, something of this nature in their collection. Okay, you want to build value as much as possible, okay, before you actually present the prize. Okay, and okay, now gets your priority mail shipping, and it's free. And this would normally cost you $5.44, but by clicking the buy button now, okay, good strategy. By clicking the button now, you pay this. Okay, this is a no dime novel story, that's a real thing, and it's a good deal, surely. Okay, now you want as much as possible to to place your strongest testimonials as high up as possible. The always love me what it look like and die in real best. And I think that it's my opinion that this might be your strongest testimonial. So I would kind of move this testimonial to the higher up, because you want to give you a real big knockout punch earlier on. Okay, and okay, so indicate that you're going to pay for them the shipping for them. So that's already a discount. Okay, now I'm being told I'm crazy to take money out of my own pocket to pay for the 5, especially now with the economy in a good mess. Okay, good, making this contextual. Okay, this is something that in people's mind. So why I'm doing this? Well, it's a shameless bribe, pure. Okay, good strategy. Here, if you don't, your phone is going to ring, or you'll get an email. The dog will need to go out, or you. Okay, good strategy here as well too, to tell them that why they should act right away. Fear of loss, about the Old West. The book is great. Okay, instead of pistol piece, memoir puts you directly in all the gunfights and shootouts, Indian standout, scalps, massacre. Okay, and makes his memoir must have. Okay, the way in which you have these testimonials here so close, I would suggest that you place them in simply one. You place them all together. Okay, place them in one long box, and place them all together. Okay, another suggestion I'll make as well too for your testimonial. If you can get pictures of the persons who have given you the testimonial, a little mugshot of them, that would add some credibility to the testimonial. To also help the testimonial easier to be read by those who are going to be reading. It says later, it's good to pull out a small quote from the testimonial and use that as a headline. This is a short one. This book is great. I have read so-called real Western books and a few magazines, but okay, so you can pull this out. This one tops them all, and that would be the headline for this testimonial. I've been having a good time with that book. I'm realizing that I've heard from the source of pale comparison. Other sources pale in comparison to Pete's life. I think this will be maybe comparison. Okay, so what I'm saying here then is that you want to look at the testimonial and give the testimonial a headline, just like your letter. Okay, having your testimonial with a headline would help the person to actually go into actually reading the testimonial. An example here, okay, to know what it's like to live in the Old West. In the book, I purchased a copy, and so for example here, can hardly put it down. Okay, and I will use that as the headline. Okay, straight shooting, no question asked. Okay, very good language here. In the Old West, the cowboy resume, look at the man in the eye. Okay, very good. I can shake your hand, let them know that they have nothing to lose. Good guarantee, and good context as well too. Keeping it in the cowboy language. So when you think about your money back guarantee, your free shipping, then by golly, good here, very good. There's really nothing to lose by taking a look at Pistol Pete's memoir. Okay, very good close here. Okay, you can't ask for a better deal than that. As Pistol Pete would say, much obliged and so long, partner. Good. Okay, let's look at the PS. A very good close here. Okay, P.S. As I said, Pistol Piece, one-of-a-kind life story, and his photos are an important part of real always history. That should be saved and remembered. Your purchase, make sure there will be. Remember the 545 shipping and thing is free. And also, I would remind them of the remind him of the 90-day guarantee as well too. In this section. Okay, and okay, I have two more testimonial. Okay, so in summary, therefore, then I would say then the letter could be strengthened by reordering the way in which you told the story, by telling the story of this, by telling the discovery at first, and also kind of make the discovery of the book or the memoir a little bit more compact, and spend some time talking about getting some bullet points in terms of what's contained in the book itself, in order to build value for the book. Okay, now I'll return to the headline. Okay, what you want to do what I would suggest for the headline, and rather than telling what it is, recently discovered 303-page memoir by a genuine Old West gunfighter, long shoot and so forth, reveals intriguing, at times disturbing eye-opening story and so forth. Rather than say this, I would make the headline be about the discovery itself. Okay, I'll be the story about this. Let the headline be about the story of the discovery rather than about the book itself. Okay, so in this respect, kind of look at it in terms of a news. Look at it in terms of a news angle, and so for example, you can see something like long lost memoir of a famous Westerner found in broken down barn, or or something to that effect. So you want to make it a kind of a make it newsy, make it a curiosity builder, and also shorter than what you have here. Okay, so I would suggest something along that line for your headline. Say this long lost memoir of this famous Westerner. I guess you can find a different term for famous Westerner, found in broken down barn. So you have this story of it's newsy, it's a story angle, and also it builds curiosity. The person who is interested, they want to find out what's more and what's going on. Okay, so I would try that headline against this one and see how that works out. So along with the headline and changing the structure of the letter and strengthening your bullet points and building some greater value for the memoir before you actually present the price, I think all these would go into helping your sale grow.